Hello everyone, and welcome back to my channel, Orchid Goddess. Today, I'm going to show you how to completely and permanently get rid of these mealybugs you see here, along with other pests and insects that attack orchids. You may have tried many different methods before, but believe me, this method is extremely effective. Most importantly, it's a formula you can prepare at home using natural and reliable ingredients. And this orchid you see here is one of the orchids I bought on sale and used this method on. It's healthy and has exactly 8 flowers. I'm starting by emptying the orchid pots immediately. Always keep any new plant outside and separate from your other plants for a few days. And make sure to do a thorough pest inspection. If a newly purchased plant carries pests, they can quickly spread to your other plants. And unfortunately, you could lose them all. Here, I am essentially quarantining and disinfecting the orchids I just bought. This prevents any disease or infestation from spreading to my other plants. I remove the clips and everything attached to the plant. Be sure to remove that tiny sponge inside the pot as well, because it retains too much water and can cause root rot. It may also lead to fungal infections. As you can see, this orchid is quite sick. This is the kind of damage mealybugs can cause to the leaves. There are 5 main types of pests that commonly harm orchids: aphids, scale insects, thrips, slugs, and snails, and the mealybugs you see here. These small white insects feed by sucking sap from the roots and leaves. Over time, this leads to root rot and yellowing leaves, as you can see here. Now I'm moving on to a detailed cleaning process. As you can see, I am thoroughly washing, cleaning, and disinfecting the pots, stakes, and even the clips. First, I wash everything carefully with dish soap and a sponge, making sure to scrub every corner and edge. I also thoroughly clean the sink to prevent reinfestation. You don't necessarily have to use hot water, but you must make sure everything is cleaned properly. Mealybugs, in particular, are very good at hiding. Therefore, you need to clean both the pot and the orchid very thoroughly. As a final step, I disinfect everything with 70% alcohol. The inside and outside of the pots, the clips, and the orchid support stakes. Now I'm moving on to washing the orchids themselves. I gently wash the orchids with my fingertips, being careful not to damage the roots or leaves. However, simple washing alone will not be enough to eliminate the pests. Next comes the removal of rotten roots. After cleaning a sharp pair of scissors with alcohol or lemon, I am doing this cleaning to ensure that disease does not spread. I am cutting the rotten, dried roots that have become like stone so that the orchid gives new and fresh roots and recovers. However, I do not cut the light yellow roots because they can recover and continue to feed our orchid. As I said, I only cut the roots that have become like a thread and are no longer of any use to the orchid, right from the base. And I also remove the leaves that are yellowed and have no chance of turning green, that are close to tearing, and that have started to rot from the base, as seen here, without damaging the stem. And let's come to that magnificent recipe. Here I will use garlic, Castile soap, Arab soap, and olive oil. Since I will disinfect 3 orchids here, I am separating 2 heads of garlic with their skins. If you are going to disinfect fewer orchids, for example, 3 to 4 or maybe 5 cloves of garlic will be enough for 1 orchid. I crush my garlic nicely in a mortar and keep crushing it until it becomes a paste. Then I take the garlic into a large container. I add about 3 to 3.5 liters of water to it. And then I will add about 1.5 teaspoons of natural Castile soap and mix them all together with a wire whisk. Thanks to the antibacterial and antifungal components of allicin in garlic, it reduces the risk of fungus and bacteria in the soil and roots. It increases plant durability and stress tolerance. Castile soap is a very effective solution against bugs on indoor and garden plants. It kills and destroys pests such as aphids, spider mites, and mealybugs. It dissolves the protective wax layer on the bugs' bodies. The bug dries out and dies because of this. Olive oil traps the soft and sticky bodies of the bugs and removes them. As you can see, I added a little more olive oil on top, and I will let this mixture sit for about 20 minutes. Please do not forget to subscribe for free, turn on notifications, and I look forward to your likes. I take my orchids one by one into this mixture I prepared and start washing and disinfecting them. Here, with the help of a brush, I brush every single part of the orchid in detail. All the leaves, between the leaves, the folds of the leaves, and the roots. The reason I do this is to completely remove small bugs, nymphs, and eggs that cannot be seen with the naked eye from the surface. And I disinfect the folds that our fingers cannot reach very well with the help of a brush. Look, you can see the bugs and nymphs at the base of the leaves here. And after cleaning them this way, I soak each orchid in water for about 4 to 5 minutes. And I make sure it is thoroughly disinfected. Afterwards, I wash my orchids in clean water, definitely rubbing them with my fingers again. I clean off the oils and garlic residues on them. If you do not do this process, your orchid may burn. Let's move on to the planting process. Here, I use clay pebbles at the very bottom of the pot to create drainage. You can also use gravel. After placing my orchids, I use red pine bark. Here, you can use coconut husk again. I also add a little perlite in between. If you wish, you can mix tree bark, coconut husk, and perlite all together and create your soil that way. Without damaging the roots, I fill around the pot by turning it, and while planting, I make sure that the roots come right to the edge of the pot. Here you see the finished final state of my orchids. Look, this orchid is our sickest orchid, the one with excessive rot in its roots and bugs stuck on it. It has let its leaves droop a bit. This is the healthiest looking orchid. Look, you see the whitening on the leaves here. This orchid has seen quite a bit of damage due to the bugs. One of its large branches in the middle has even broken off. As you can see, there is only one leaf on the right side. Let's see what happens with their final state. Now we need to prune the flower stalks of our orchids. I clean a sharp pair of scissors with alcohol again. The most important point we need to pay attention to when pruning is, we do not cut the full nodes, we cut the empty nodes. Since new flower stalks or keikis, baby orchids, will come from the full nodes, we do not cut them. Look, we will cut the stalks where the capsules look empty inside, like here. We cut the stalks with our clean scissors. It is important that your scissors are sharp, otherwise, you may damage the stalk. I cut them all one by one. And afterwards, I use ground cinnamon. Ground cinnamon ensures that the ends of the stalks you have cut dry out. At the same time, it prevents the spread of various diseases, such as fungal infections. Cinnamon has a very wide range of uses in orchid care. You will see it frequently in our upcoming videos. We are moving on to watering now. I prefer the bottom watering method for watering. But since it is a new planting, I will also do top watering at the same time. The most important issue you need to pay attention to when watering is that you absolutely must not let water touch the crown of the orchid, because this causes rot and fungal disease in the orchid. This is one of the biggest mistakes made. Watering the orchid under the tap, or by pouring water directly onto it. If water touches the crown of the orchid, you definitely need to clean the orchid with the help of a tissue. This is how I water my orchid. You can let it sit for about 10 to 15 minutes. When you see that the roots have turned green, it means the orchid is sufficiently watered. And I let my orchid sit on a wire rack so that the excess water in the pot drains off and does not cause root rot. The biggest reason orchids die is incorrect watering, overwatering. And now I place these sparkling clean beauties in front of my window where they will receive plenty of light, and I am happy as I look at them. Please do not forget to like my video and follow the page, and goodbye until the next video.